So the conversation got started because you sent me an email, and it said I was talking to a former, we'll say, Green Beret, Special Forces somebody. You talked about where he'd lived and various things that were going on with him. But you talked about one that had recently had an event where he was arrested and had to step down from a lot of positions he held and this, that, and the other. What is interesting, though he's not proven guilty, he's still charged with it. And we'll get into why all that's true. They were telling you how these things ruin your career, and it's hard to bounce back. And there's reasons for it. Another reason they ruin your career is it's intentional. Okay. So that's my theory on it. And then he mentioned somebody going through a divorce, and the woman had framed him for some activities on the internet, which apparently weren't true, we'll say. So that's the gist of every one of these, is that you're presented with information and you don't know what to do with it because it's outside of the battle space that you're used to. I mean, if you're hit with a threat or hit with aggression, how do you respond? Talk about it as either Glock time or gold time. In other words, like you can fight your way through it, or you can find another avenue to go down that doesn't require you to engage in battle. That's the language I used. And then you said to remind you of some of the people I've helped, and I've got a couple of stories about that. The thing you said was most interesting. Apparently, this is a big thing in Special Forces, Green Beret, all the upper echelons, we'll call it. And your question was, how does one recover? And we'll address that. And you should ask me again when I lose my place. Okay. So you said to remind you of some MK Ultra experiments, and we'll just call it PsyOps.
Yeah. Right? And like, that was not what I sent. It was just like, I don't remember the actual story, but like, I mean, the whole entire idea of the story was they asked a group of people, it was like a focus group, and they asked a group of people and they said, we're just going to go with Karen. Okay. I don't know the word for word, paraphrasing. And they said, Karen's a mom. She's very involved. She's in the PTA. And they said all this wonderful things. And then they said, what do you guys think about Karen? And everyone's like, we love Karen, right? And then they said, Karen was arrested. She robbed an old lady. What do you think about Karen? And they were like, we don't like Karen. And then they said, oh, Karen was wrongfully accused. What do you think about Karen? And most people didn't change their mind. They still didn't like Karen. And that when I was talking to the Green Beret a couple of days ago about ruining of the career and how it is, and like you said earlier, you said it's intentional. Well, yeah, exactly. That's what that wife did. That's what that other person, they intentionally went to ruin their careers and they succeeded. And how does one recover from that? Because you have this whole entire world, like everybody in that focus group doesn't even know Karen, likes Karen, doesn't like Karen, and then still doesn't like Karen. You don't even know Karen. And and I just don't understand that. And even if, and the thing is like, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And, we're just in a society of judgment. So that's where my question was like, what if that was to happen to me? What if that was to happen to anyone listening to the show? How do you recover from something like that?
Well, the first thing is to find out or to recognize that you're in an area that maybe you're not trained to. There's lots of language, and I could tell a million stories, but I'll give you 3 of them. I had a client that was wrongfully accused of a crime that involved the internet. We'll put it that way. In that case, I won't say the state or name, but I was able to help calibrate like his lawyer's responses. The big thing that happened was I calibrated the amount of money the DA had to prosecute the case. And I told him if he would keep his mouth shut, he could outlast it, because at some point they will run out of money and it no longer becomes political, front page news, and all these other things that are meant to sway public opinion. Don't think that they're not pursuing a PsyOps type operation to persecute you in the public space before they ever get to anything called a trial. And so we call that the process is the punishment. So even if you come out of it clean, which in this case we did, we outlasted them. They kept trying to make a plea deal. I kept telling him, don't do it, don't do it. And he was able to get out of it clean. So I consider that a success because he was able to persevere. Success number one. Number two, I had another guy, another state, Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, that was accused of involuntary manslaughter. You know, that's a pretty hot case, and they had convicted him. So on appeal, he called me, and I went through it again, told him what might be beneficial to tell the lawyers to say. And as we went through that process, we was able to get it thrown out, the whole thing, like it never happened. The third one had another case, another state, and I wasn't successful. I mean, the cards were stacked against you. What that means is that he had a lot of money, a lot of patents and all kinds of property, and it basically was taken away from him. I sat through the whole court proceedings and everything, and there wasn't anything we could do to change the vector of what was going on. They had it locked up that this is where they were going to go right from the beginning. Those are wars you can't win. Okay, you can try, you can spend all your resources, and you just end up nowhere. Now, what's the message of all of them? You need to pick a different direction, a different goal. That's why I say it's Glock time or goal time. And the reason for that is you have learned all these skills, like in special forces, military, and they're very efficient at getting you into and out of a battle. They're entirely clueless about what to do with you afterwards. So we tend to come out of that with a highly developed skill sets that have no application in the modern world. So what I've told several of my clients in the military is when you come out of the military, you're, first of all, you're coming back to a free fire zone. And what that means, anybody can take a shot at you. The problem is the rules of engagement do not allow you to use a Glock. It's absolutely forbidden for you to go shoot your wife, the judge, the police, anybody that's involved in the contention that you're in. The reason is you've never been trained to that type of warfare. The Japanese samurai at the end of the Meiji Restoration or one of those events back then, they switched over to be bureaucrats. In the Star Wars movie, there's one of them that says, oh no, now we're entering the age of the bureaucrats. Well, welcome home, okay? Because bureaucracy will kill you. They have all kinds of rules. They have all kinds of procedures. They have all kinds of what we call jurisdictions. And you're going to fall into those one way or the other. That's the current situation. You come home, you need another set of skills. You need to go back to basic training. That may include legal, it may include intellectual, it may include college. It's just that your skills are not sufficient in this battle space. And unless you've been through a bunch of them, I have, either myself or through other people, then you're just not going to be that good at it. You're certainly not Olympic level, okay? Unless you're a really high-priced lawyer, because that is the only way to interact with that bureaucracy past a certain point. So now we'll get to like how you got here. When you find yourself in any of these situations, then you need to, first of all, take a break, center yourself, and then decide on which direction you want to go. That's goal setting. And that has nothing to do really with what's going on as far as a lawsuit or being prosecuted for anything. The CIA had a saying back during the Vietnam War. They passed the little belt buckles that said, and let's see if I can get it straight, success comes to those who hustle while they wait. Now, what does that apply to this? I was in a lawsuit and there was nowhere for me to go. I was going to lose it. So I was driving down the road after I'd been presented with this, and I saw a sign for some lawyers. Just in a bad part of town. And I went in and I said, how much you charge to work on this bankruptcy at that time? And he gave me a price like in the hundreds of dollars, which I thought was ridiculous, okay? And I said, how long will it take you to do this, right? And he said, oh, we can get it done in a few weeks. And I said, well, how long could you string it out? So the process is the punishment, not on my side. What that means is he spent the next 2.5 years dragging that thing out. Success comes to those who hustle while they wait. During that time period, I was able to create, let's say, some corporations, LLCs, and generate $2 or $3 million. So when the bankruptcy came, I filed bankruptcy. I'm telling myself, they awarded him whatever, and that was the end of it. I was so proud of the guy for taking that long because it gave me an opportunity to strengthen myself, learn new things, and move on. So that's the lesson really of any of this, is that's what's required of you.